Testing 1 2 3. Testing 1 2 3. All right. We are live. We're live. The volume looks good. We in the building. What's going on, people? All right. What you gonna say? We got the verdict in for Karmelo. Karmelo Anthony's verdict came in real quick, didn't it? They took no time with that. I mean, it was like a couple hours. I almost didn't get a chance to get my prediction video up before they decided the fate of this young man. Someone's comment in the comment there. One of my viewers says, were we surprised? Are we surprised? I'm not gonna say I'm surprised. I'm gonna say I'm a little stunned. I'm just gonna keep it real with you. Okay, so I put out my prediction. I did a live stream last night. I doubled down on my prediction. I said he was gonna get acquitted. Looking at the facts, looking at what I thought were the facts of the case, I didn't see how he could not be acquitted. He didn't go there with the intention of stabbing Austin Metcalf. I thought that was pretty obvious. He was in the tent before Austin Metcalf got to the tent. I guess he was clairvoyant. He could see through time. So if anybody who doesn't know, let me back up. Anybody who doesn't know, Karmelo Anthony was found guilty the day of murder. Not manslaughter. And he definitely was not found not guilty or acquitted. So the worst possible outcome that there could be is the outcome that he was given. The jury decided the worst possible outcome that could possibly be handed down was handed down in record time. It wasn't even 3 hours. It's like their minds are made up before they even went in to do the verdict. I mean, if you'd make a decision, because they got to read the rules to you. So I think the first hour is just explaining the charges and how to vote and all that stuff. So within an hour of them being told, here's your assignment, this is the process, because we're assuming nobody on the jury has ever been a juror before, particularly in this type of case. In record-splitting time, they'd come back with a guilty verdict. So someone said, Sim Black, are you surprised it happened? And I'll say I'm not surprised, but I'm stunned. And I'm sure there are many of my viewers that are stunned. I stand by my word. I've been covering this case since it happened. Not since it went to trial, but since the case initially unfolded, since the action took place, since the stabbing incident. I've been covering this case. I've got a playlist going back, a year and a half now. And I'm very disappointed that America's going to be America. I'm very disappointed that America's going to be America. Not just that. There are people that are dead set on saying, and they believe, I think they believe this, they believe that justice was done today. They believe justice was done today. They believe that Karmelo Anthony murdered Austin Metcalf in cold blood. That's what they believe. And I don't know how you come to that conclusion. I don't know how you do it. I mean, and there are people that say to not believe that you are playing a race card. That's the most amazing thing, man. It's always, it's amazing that black people are always the ones that they say are playing the race card. You would almost think that we had them as slaves. You would almost think that they didn't get rights in this country until 65, the way they talk. That everything's a figment of our imagination. You know, there were white people saying, everything that you see these people saying today, they were saying this 50 years ago, they were saying this 100 years ago, they were saying it 150 years ago. The tune has never changed. It's always the same things. You could go back to comments made by white folks in the 50s and the 40s and the 30s. They say the same things. They never change. It's always the same thing. What are you complaining about? You got it good. There's nothing wrong. So I'm looking for an explanation of why they decided that Karmelo Anthony was a murderer. They didn't think he was defending himself at all from someone lunging at him, who's standing up lunging at him. That wasn't even an issue. Yeah, so that's amazing. So black people can lunge at white people after being told to stop. And it's not considered an attack. It's just considered, I don't know. I guess he wanted to hug him. Yeah, I guess he wanted to hug him. And I'm sure that if it was reversed, if it was if Karmelo Anthony was white and he weighed 100 pounds less than Austin, yeah, and Austin was a black kid, I'm sure they would have came up with the same verdict, because we all know white people don't think black people are, violent at all. I'm sure they would have came up with the same. Of course, I'm being sarcastic. So this doesn't make sense unless you factor in racism. It doesn't make sense if there were no black people on the jury. That don't make sense. I mean, unless you factor in racism. And that judge got exactly what he wanted, man. That judge got what he wanted. The prosecution got what they wanted. And now this young man is going to go to jail. We don't know how long. They got to do a sentencing hearing. Why don't they just bring out the noose and send out postcards like they used to in Texas and just have a good old-fashioned lynching? Because that's what Texas is known for. I mean, they just basically had one. I mean, why don't you just go full face off? Take the face mask off. Take the hood off. Keep it a buck. At least be open and honest with it. That's what I'm saying. I mean, why not let it all hang out? I mean, you've gone this far. You're saying that I understand. I understand. There are black conservatives, a lot of them. There are a lot of black conservatives that were calling for this to happen. Just because the side that you're on wins doesn't mean you were right. Just because it's a guilty verdict, it doesn't mean he was guilty. It means that's what that court decided. It means that's what the jury decided. And this is why I was pressed to call out the jury selection, because you don't get rid of 3 black women off your jury when the defense is all out of challenges, when one fell swoop, because you say they're educators, not because they had bias. People still think that. Up at this late time, I'm still getting comments on people on TikTok who think that all the black jurors were removed because they were biased. Because one juror, and it's all strategic, right? So they have one black man out of 600 people. Back when they had 600, they had an initial jury pool of 600 individuals who could have possibly served on the jury pool, right? During dwindling down that 600 number, there was one black man who said, I don't think I want to do this. I don't want to lock a brother up. I don't want to be a part of this. One guy. The media and dummies online who don't look up shit, who just listen to what Sean Hannity says, or other racists say, or other sellouts like Devore Darkins, or whoever, or They just did a swoop across all the jurors. Now, all of a sudden, this one black guy who made one comment, just that one individual, it's applied to every black juror that could have potentially served on the jury. Now, all the black jurors are too biased to be jurors because of one guy. Till this morning, I was getting these comments on TikTok. They don't even understand what happened. No, there were 3 college-educated black women who were dismissed last, all 3 at one time, because the prosecutor said they didn't want any teachers on the jury. That was the cause. It wasn't bias. It wasn't because they said we can't lock a brother up. It was because their profession was teacher. And that would have been okay, even though it sounds crazy as hell. That would have been okay if there wasn't already a white teacher on the jury that the prosecutors chose. But who wants to be honest and fair? Why do that, Tim? There you go, Tim, grasping at straws in reality. Why are you explaining the jury? Because the jury decided the case. The jury makes the call. And that's why they wanted to make sure they got rid of those black women off that jury. And they did exactly that. So the Batson Challenge, which originated in Kentucky, but was strengthened. You know, the Batson Challenge where either side can, we don't want to, who cares? So Karmelo Anthony is looking at, what is it? 5 to 99 years of some crazy numbers, basically football numbers. For what I believe is a crime he had no intention of committing, with a bigger kid who was being the aggressor. I mean, what else you got to do? He stays seated. I guess he's supposed to just sit there and get beat up. I guess that's what you want him to do. I'm pretty sure that's what white people want. That's what Texas wants. Texas and all the jurors wanted him to sit there and be pummeled by Austin. Like you used to do when you were property. Just sit there and take it. Yeah. Instead, he gets to be hall monitor and tell people where they can sit and where they can't sit and all this other garbage. So Karmelo Anthony, you know, he's 19 years old. He was 17 years old when this took place. He was 17 years old when he stabbed Austin Metcalf. And I've never stated and never felt that it was good. You got 2 young people whose brains are not developed, who act impulsively, because that's what young people do sometimes. And it's frustrating as hell being a parent. We got people that aren't parents that don't understand. You can raise your child all you want, but at the end of the day, the child has to make the best decisions. You can't be there all the time, no matter how much you love them. So I'm not saying that it's good that Karmelo stabbed Austin Metcalf, but I don't think it was murder. I don't think it's good that Austin Metcalf felt like he could put his hands on people that aren't his kids. I don't know why that's considered okay. You know, I put out a video yesterday, a short clip from last night's live stream. Actually, I put it out after the show. And it's about the beauty of FAFO. Everywhere you look, you see people saying FAFO. F around and find out. F around and find out. And then those white folks who love saying it found out it could apply to them. And now nobody wants to play FAFO anymore. Isn't that something? Yeah, I guess they thought it only applied to black people. I don't know. But you put your hands on somebody and they react to defend themselves, and now everyone says that's murder. I don't think that's murder. And I don't think if it was reversed, it would be considered murder. But to this jury, it's considered murder. In a stand your ground state, you can't stand your ground. In a stand your ground state, you got to just take it. And that doesn't make sense to me. That doesn't make sense to me. It does make sense if you factor in blatant, obvious racism. I guess for me as a commentator, one of the most, I would say the bitter pill I have to swallow is people like DeVory Darkins, Jesse Lee Peterson, Officer Tatum, Jason Whitlock. The people that are calling that are happy that this happened, who've been saying how, who are aligned with like Tim Pool and these other characters. I don't know. Benny Johnson comes to mind. These scumbags. I think they're under the impression that they won something. You didn't win anything. Nobody wins. Nobody wins in this. I mean, we could bring up case after case after case after case. We could bring up Zimmerman. We could bring up Daniel Penny. Daniel Penny defended the subway train, they said, from the 100-pound guy with no weapons. He ends up dead, and Daniel Penny not only does not do a day in jail, he makes money. He gets a new job. He goes to the Super Bowl with the president and the vice president for defending the train. Weird how that works. Daniel Penny killed Jordan Neely, and it's not considered murder. It's considered saving the world. He's saving the whales. And Karmelo Anthony defends himself, and it's considered murder. And it doesn't make sense if you look at it like that, because you're a human being. You look at it as a Black American. You look at it. I mean, you're not getting paid by conservatives to jump up and down and, do cartwheels when Black people go to jail. But that's what they do. When we all pretty much understand the rules of the game are that we don't have the same rights. That Karmelo Anthony was never going to get a fair trial. Was never going to get a fair trial. We know that, right? I believe he was not guilty. But that doesn't mean he gets a fair trial. I wrote an article to it. If you believe like I do, subscribe to this channel. Cut on notifications, because we're going to be going live a lot. And I'm not going to stop covering these issues. I think that Karmelo Anthony is a perfect example of how institutions operate to protect their own. I also want to take the opportunity to point out, I didn't see a lot of the Democratic Party making much to do about this case. So as I've been covering also the Cyrus Carmack Belton case, I haven't seen Democrats talking about that. Everybody's pretty quiet on the Western Front. I mean, unless they can bring Trump in it and make Trump the bad guy, it's like the Democrats have no stomach for it. They have no stomach for defending Black America. And I'm fine with that. I just want Black America to pay attention. I'm tired of Black Americans defending the Democratic Party when the Democratic Party doesn't defend them. They defend their interest. And their interest is going after Trump and the Republicans. I do not believe in any shape or form, any way even close to it, that what we had here is a killer hunting down Austin Metcalf. But if you look at my comment section, and thank God I've got a moderator. If you look at my comment section, I'm pretty sure he's had to throw out a few people. Because, racist. They'll make racist comments. They'll say racist things all day. And then when you call it out, you're playing racist. You're screaming and crying racist. Their comments aren't racist. You just believe they are. It's weird how that happens. Carmelo Anthony's life is forever changed. Some people say, Tim Black, the proportionality is off. The proportionality is off, Tim Black. He's at a track meet. He has a pocket knife or a Swiss Army knife. They said it wasn't even a real knife or whatever. He got stabbed 2 inches. It's just a tragic event, an awful, awful situation. It should have never happened. Austin keeps his hands to himself. Carmelo doesn't stab him, or Carmelo. Well, I guess, you know what I believe? I believe that if Austin Metcalf would have kept his hands to himself, he wouldn't have got stabbed. So this would have never happened. Saying that at a track meet, people can't walk around and go from tents and talk to people is crazy. That's not how shit operates. Particularly if your team's tent ain't even set up yet and it's raining. But people will say anything. They will say anything to adhere to the way they see the world. And the way they see the world is Austin is good guy and Carmelo is bad guy. I wonder where they get that from. I checked. Austin's not the 3.7, almost 4.0 college student. And Carmelo is not the one from the broken household. Everything here is the opposite. Everything here is the opposite of the picture that the media and the people on social media are painting. But no one's going to give a shit. Obviously, the jury didn't care. Good old home American boys, and we know what that means. Good old American boys, and that means white. People say, Tim Black, you should have known this was going to happen. Yeah, but I get to advocate for what I get to advocate for, and I get to advocate for justice. I don't think justice was served. You mean to tell me they came back with murder, not even manslaughter? What? It's not even manslaughter? I mean, you actually think basically that this guy went hunting, that Carmelo went hunting for Austin. And I don't find any evidence to that. Like his intention was to kill Austin Metcalf. I see. Is that what we see? Is that really what we see? That really makes sense. That's what he's there to do. Yeah, he came there to kill Austin. So he drops a knife and leaves it there. He does it in front of everyone and then goes back and tells his coach everything. Then when the cops come, the first thing he says is, Austin, okay? I mean, does that sound like a killer to you? I mean, that sounds like a murderer. That's what that sounds like. These are the actions of a murderer. Now, Austin Metcalf was definitely killed, but he wasn't murdered. He was stuck. And that's a bad thing, particularly if you're the parents or if you're Austin. And I get that part. But that doesn't mean Carmelo is a murderer, and it doesn't mean he intended to murder Austin Metcalf or even kill Austin Metcalf. Murderers don't cry on a scene in disbelief that they did that. But that's what Carmelo did. So no, I don't think he was a murderer. I just don't believe that. I see nothing in his background, in his squeaky clean record. Oh, there's a picture of him holding a gun on social media. Yeah, there's pictures of Austin and his brother Hunter holding guns. Why isn't that considered in the same realm of what you're saying about Carmelo? Oh, I know. We know what it is. Yeah, that skin tone can't seem to wash that off. It's Texas. People have guns. It's Texas. It doesn't mean they're criminals. At least it wasn't supposed to mean that. Wow. So Metcalf, this was justice for him. Now, justice would have been this never happening. There's never justice after something like this. There's no winners here. Only losers. There's only losers. Last night I said there's no winners, no matter how this turns out. Now I can say there's nothing but losers. Still no winners. Though, I don't know, someone said, Tim, like, they didn't say it to me directly, but they were saying, someone sent me a link and I'm seeing people make comments online. And some of the comments that people are saying is like, yo, what happened is a culmination of all of this black fatigue. Because people are tired of black people. I'm tired of a lot of things. Racist would be like really high on the list. I'm tired of the racial wealth gap. I'm tired of discrimination. I'm tired of people in my comment section using the N-word every 2 seconds, particularly on X. I'm tired of that, but no one cares what I'm tired of. But that jury's tired of YNs. I'm tired of black people and white people using that term. I'm tired of black people using the term black fatigue. I'm tired of all of it. I'm tired of black conservatives getting their bag by tap dancers for bigots. I'm just tired of that shit. Karmelo Anthony should not have been found guilty of murder. I don't believe in any way that the evidence showed that. The fact that these witnesses that gave their testimony back when this incident took place, the fact that their testimony is vastly different than the initial statements that they gave the police, all their testimony should have been thrown out. According to Texas law, that would be a reason to acquit right there. The guy that says he didn't know who Karmelo was, though there are pictures of him being with Karmelo 3 times in the same week of the killing. His testimony should have been thrown out. Why was his testimony even considered? That's a criteria for acquittal. All of the witnesses whose testimony suddenly changed, that's the grounds for acquittal. That's how part of me drawing my conclusion was reading the Texas rules for acquittal. Karmelo Anthony and his defense team never had to prove self-defense. He's already gifted that. The prosecution has to prove he was not defending himself. He was defending himself. You may say he went too far defending himself, but I think he was defending himself. If he was the aggressor, he would have been the one going over to Austin. He would have been the one approaching Austin, attempting to lay hands on Austin for the second time. He wasn't. It was the other way. How could that be the guy that's considered the aggressor? How can you be the aggressor if someone's laying hands on you? Texas got some funny math. They got some funny figuring. Their physics is crazy. The inanimate object is the object that's causing the damage. The inanimate object is the scurry object. That's crazy. That's not how it works anywhere else. That's not it. If you run into somebody, you're driving, and they're sitting still at the light, and you run into the back of them, you're the one that's at fault. Not in Texas. Now when it's a white guy and a black guy, and the white guy's dead, if that's the case, you should have picked your car up and moved it. You didn't see the white guy coming when he was speeding through the intersection? Why are you sitting there at the red light in the way? That's pretty much the equivalent of this shit. This is crazy. So Austin Metcalf wanted Karmelo out of the tent so badly, he wanted to put hands on him a second time. And because he was stopped from doing that, and unfortunately he was stabbed I wish that never happened. We're not here having this conversation. Any views I got for it, I would be fine not having those, and we could go back in time and none of that shit happens. But I do not feel that that is murder. I do not feel it was intentional. I do not feel it was planned. I do not. Someone said, oh, Karmelo didn't take the stand. Yeah, neither did Hunter. And Hunter was right there the whole time. Why didn't Hunter take the stand? Someone said Timmy's not taking a stand because him and his brother are much bigger than Karmelo. And if the jury sees just how big Hunter is compared to Karmelo, they might have a change of heart. They might actually see. And not to mention, Austin was slightly bigger than Hunter. And they say the prosecution doesn't even want that imagery in their heads, where they could actually see how intimidating that the Metcalfs were to Karmelo. But the jury couldn't see that? Guess they couldn't. It's sort of like in the movies, they always film the short actors from a distance, have the tall guy stand way away because they don't want you to know how short Al Pacino is, or Robert De Niro, or Joe Pesci, or any of these people. I mean, you can kind of tell with Joe Pesci. But anyway, it's a trick they use in Hollywood a lot, when there's a short actor and a tall actor. Pretty much, unless you want that, unless you're going for the Kevin Hart and Rock effect. So here we are. We got ourselves a verdict in less than 3 hours. A young man's life is ruined in less than 3 hours. They didn't even need to discuss anything. Shit. They came back with that quick fast. They made their decision. I'd like to know what drove them to that conclusion. Once again, people said, hey, Tim, I don't know if it was proportional. Yes, Karmelo was defending himself, so he should have punched him, should have smacked him. Yeah. Not in Texas, you don't have to. I mean, obviously, some of us have to. And obviously, some of us don't have to. Some of us can be the aggressor and still get the justice to go their way because, well, the outcome was not what they're used to getting. And that's what I really believe this is all about. White people love to win. That's what it is. That's what it is. They love to win so badly. When Jack Johnson used to beat up white guys in the boxing ring, white people would randomly go out and track down black people and lynch them. Yeah, because they were pissed off that Jack Johnson won the boxing match against a white guy. Isn't that something? So there's a history of this. Yeah, I know. Inconvenient, isn't it? That's the race card. No, it's called history. Because another word for race card is history. So look, I've been covering this extensively the same way, with the Belton, the Cyrus Belton. And that's another horrible story. So enough horrible stories kind of lumped together in this moment in time. A lot happening. This is devastating to Black Americans. And it's not that we don't know that we live in a country where this is prone to happen. We see it time and time and time again. But every time we see it, we're reminded nothing's changed. Hell, shit ain't changed. It's the same old America. And in your comment section, even more than before, they'll be clapping and dancing and very happy, overjoyed. Still bringing up O.J. Simpson. That's how rarely Black people get to lock up white people. That's how rarely a Black guy uses a system and wins, that they have to bring up a damn near 30-year case. And then the sheer fact that you have to bring up a 30-year case to make that point tells you everything if you had an open mind. That would tell you everything. I can name a story from last month of a white guy getting away with murdering a black guy. But you got to go back 30 years to one of the most high-profile cases in the history of the United States for you to make a similar claim. And you don't find that weird. You don't find that at all like incongruent with this whole Make America Great bullshit, or with this whole we're all on equal footing, or this whole crying racism stuff. Now, fam, if black people were getting away with a bunch of shit, you would be able to point it out about cases that happened 6 months ago, a year ago, a couple years, but you can't. You can't. Because that's not America's history, and that's not what be happening. I stand by it. I stand by it. Karmelo Anthony is not a murderer. He made a bad decision. He acted impulsively. I wish he hadn't. But that impulse was triggered by somebody else's action. He didn't come up with it out the blue. Austin Metcalf keeps his hands to himself. Karmelo Anthony has a reason to react badly. And we're not here doing this. We're not having this live stream. It's my day off from live streaming. I'm doing other shit. You're doing other stuff. You're picking some other reason to be online right now. To me, that would be the best outcome. And you know what? If black conservatives were saying that right now, I'd be cool with it. But they're not saying that. They're saying another YN got what he deserved. And America's tired of YNs, and they have black fatigue and all this other bullshit. So yeah, I knocked it. I roast the Democrats on a regular basis. I think their party is feckless, pointless, and unhelpful. Right? But when people say, Tim Black, won't you become a Republican? I can never do so with these new Republicans. You're going to need to get new Republicans. I can't be standing next to these guys any more than I can stand next to those guys. I mean, these guys want me to deny that I'm a black man and pretend that duck grease ain't greasy. I don't know. That's crazy. So here's where we are. If you're just now joining the live stream, unfortunately, justice was not served today, and Karmelo Anthony was found guilty of murder. The fact that he stayed seated while Austin lunged at him didn't mean anything to the jury. I guess they thought Austin just wanted to give him a hug and a kiss on the cheek. Yeah, that's what they thought. They didn't think that Austin was attacking him when he did it. No, he's a white guy, of course not. And that black kid overreacted, thinking something was about to go down. Obviously, he just wanted to pound him up, give him some dap, Try out that new black handshake he's been working on. How crazy racist am I to think that the white guy meant something bad? That he was being violent. No, not even closely. Just because he's a football player and 100 pounds heavier doesn't mean he was intimidating at all. He's still white, Tim. And Karmelo, he may be 130 pounds soaking wet, but he's still black, so we don't know. It's horrific. It really is. Karmelo Anthony did not murder Austin Metcalf. I don't care if your name is Tim Pool, Alex Jones, or Pat Bet David. I just don't think that's what happened at all. I think what happened is two teenagers made bad decisions. And unfortunately, one of them died. That's what happened. And that may be something, but it ain't murder. Nah. Murder is what those cops did to Tyree Nichols. Murder is what Zimmerman did to Trayvon Martin. Murder, that's what that shooter did to Charlie Kirk. But what Karmelo Anthony did is not murder. And the fact that you think that's in the same bucket, just because you want to dance online and you love your ex account and Elon Musk is really cool. That's alpha male shit. Nah, it's not. It's lame. Verdict is bullshit. And just because you get the W doesn't mean you should have. Just because Karmelo was found guilty doesn't mean he is. No. Not at all. So now what do we do? What's the solution, Tim Black? What are we going to do about this? Well, we're not going to back down. We're not going to be quiet. Now we got to turn up the volume. We got to continue to make our voices heard. I mean, being quiet won't save you. Being quiet won't change anything. I mean, what good is being like Officer Tatum? I mean, it is good for your financial situation may improve. But in here, really? That's part of it. That's part of what makes it really bitter. You know, that makes it worse is that, you know, a lot of these sellouts, a lot of these scumbags and sellout scumbags, they're happy. They're happy this happened to this young man. They predicted this would happen, and this is what happened. So their predictions are more accurate, or were more accurate in this case. I gave too much credit to reason and logic that if the bigger kid is lunging at the smaller kid after being told to keep his hands to himself, maybe he's at fault. Who knew? It's a right. I guess he had a right to lay hands upon someone. He didn't go get a teacher. He did not go get an authority figure. He took matters into his own hands with another free human being, able-bodied person that he doesn't have the receipt to. He didn't get the memo. You don't own Negroes no more in Texas. That's what I thought, that the memo had went out to all of Texas, that you don't get to just lay hands on black people and they got to take it. And they sent me the updated memo, which has been modified somewhat, and it says, the white exception. The white exception says, we do what we want to do and you better take it or go to jail forever. And the outcome better be the outcome we want it to be. So that's crazy. That is crazy. How we doing over there? Is it crazy or what? Someone said, why are we still talking about this? You cannot reform a system, but why are we still talking about it? This guy actually says, why are we talking? The verdict was handed down about an hour ago. I mean, hey, look, man, I don't mean no harm. What's his name? Mark Black. I don't mean no harm, Mark Black. But, you know, this is a case that has been going on for almost 2 years. The verdict was handed down an hour ago, and we're talking about it. I know you'd rather talk about the Knicks, maybe. But I'm talking about this. I don't know what you're talking about. I'm talking about it because I'm a commentator. I talk about current events, news, and politics. Anybody here doesn't know, that's what I do. So that's why I'm talking about it. God bless you, sir. Now, if you wanted sports or hip-hop news, there's lots of channels to go for that. Here, the commentator who has a playlist for Carmelo Anthony's lawsuit is talking about the verdict of the case that he's been covering for 2 years. I know that's crazy shit, right? I know, right? That don't make no damn sense. Boy, I tell you, man, it be your own people. Cobra says, silence and preservation is our mission, and our mission is to protect and preserve our children. It should be. And don't get me wrong, Cobra Hunter. Don't get me wrong. I am not operating under this illusion that this was good. And what I mean by that, the verdict is not good. I don't believe it was murder. That doesn't mean I think Karmelo should have stabbed Hunter or Austin. I don't believe he should have stabbed him. I believe none of this should have happened. I believe there should have been teachers present at the school event. I know, crazy, right? I think if two teenagers are arguing for 5-6 minutes at a school event, maybe a teacher should walk by. I'm just saying. I know that's crazy, right? That's what I think. I didn't think it was good, but I don't think it's murder. I don't think it's murder. I know it's hard to wrap one's head around, and I'm not talking about you. I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about people that be in my comment section not understanding. Just because I don't think something wasn't, just because I don't believe this was murder, because I've covered murder, this is not the same as the murder cases I've covered. There was an antagonist and a protagonist. There was somebody going after someone else, and that someone got stabbed. That's not the same thing as, I don't know, someone shooting up a mosque, or someone shooting up a school, or shooting up a supermarket. These are not the same things. Get it? It doesn't mean it was good. It doesn't mean I support it. It doesn't mean I would want my kids to do it. It just means I don't consider the actions that took place on that day in Frisco, Texas, I don't consider them murder. That makes sense? Frisco, Texas might turn into 92 LA. Well, I hope not. Yeah, I hope not. You know, I don't think that's going to change Frisco, Texas. Obviously, fam, there's a problem with the law enforcement or a problem. Fam, I strongly believe, and I'm going to say this, man, and I know if you've been here, you probably heard me say it. Let me say it one more time, fam. I might say it a couple more times, to be honest. Hit the like button if you like this broadcast. I do not believe that if the roles were reversed and there was a bigger kid who was black, was about to lay hands on a white kid, and the white kid said, leave me alone, don't touch me, leave me alone, you don't find out. And then he stabs him as he's touching him, as he's grabbing him. I don't think this even goes to trial. That's what I think. Now I know I have no way to prove that. I know I don't have a way to prove it. I just feel it in my bones. I've been black a long time. So I'm tainted by knowing things about how the world operates. Yeah, I see this being a pretty open and shut. There would be white women and white men going, oh no, he was about to attack him. He had to defend himself. And it'd be a whole different thing. They'd be online saying totally different shit. They'd be saying how he had to stand up for himself. They might even say he was trying to save all the other people in the tent. He was trying to, because this guy was going to chip out, so they had to save him. Had to save all the people in the tent because he was acting crazy. He was about to hurt him. Who knows? He may have started attacking other people and ripping their heads off and eating their hearts out of their chests. He could have did anything. He is black. That's what I think would have happened. That's what I believe. I believe that if you reverse the races and the sizes of these two, you swap them, you don't even got a case. No one gets arrested. Someone makes a statement and this thing goes away. That's what I believe. But because Austin was a white kid, played for the football team. His dad is well respected in the community. His brother, his twin brother, plays football. I think all those elements add up to what we have today. And I know there are people that don't want to believe that there is any nepotism, any favoritism, any politics in local business, in local towns, and how law enforcement operates. And to those people, I would say, you don't know shit. You don't know anything. If you don't think in small towns there's a hell of a lot of politics and nepotism and favoritism and that money talks. If you don't get that, like, I don't know how long you've been in America. You sure you didn't just get here off a boat or a plane? So that's what I believe. It doesn't mean it was a good thing. It doesn't mean I applied it. I just don't think it was murder. I don't. So I was wrong. I predicted wrong. I believed that Texas was going to be better than Texas could possibly ever be. And it's never probably going to be that Texas. You know, Texas has a long track record. And I'll go back to the jury because I did my research on Texas. You can do this for yourself. Take some time. Go to any large language model. Type in Texas black jury and discrimination. And you'll get a freaking library comeback. There's so many cases of racial discrimination in Texas legal system and in the jury selection process. Some of the laws they have to counter discrimination in jury selection were created because of Texas and its biased jury selection process. It's right there. No, we got lying-ass lawyers like Daniel Bronca, right? Or Andrew, what's his name? Andrew Bronca. Horrible lawyer, horrible. When I was doing research on that story, I found out that Texas is notorious for racist jury processes. Yeah, anybody can Google it. Anybody can look it up in the large language model. It's there. I didn't create it. I didn't manufacture it. It's what it is. So when the prosecution, the state dismissed the last 3 jurors with the approval of the judge gave the approval. The judge could have said, "No, you can't do that. We don't want any appearance of impropriety. We don't want this to look like it's racist because we don't want our people, our citizens, to feel disenfranchised. So you can't dismiss all 3 of these last black jurors who are college educated, who show no bias. You can't dismiss them just because they are teachers. Particularly if you have a white teacher in your jury pool that you pulled in. It'd be different if you dismiss all teachers. But you can't just dismiss black teachers and then say you're dismissing them because they are teachers. When I brought this up to Andrew Bronca, he said I didn't have a leg to stand on. Kind of makes sense. Because see, it's against the law to dismiss black people for being black. You can dismiss them for being other things, though. So what they do is they come up with other things that they have in common. It's sort of like back in the day when they didn't want to give us the New Deal. Yeah, remember that? The New Deal, FDR, the New Deal. Well, black people didn't get it. Because, and so this is how they did it. Here goes history lesson. I know Trump won't let you have this, but consider this one on the House. So when FDR came up with the New Deal, originally he wanted to help everyone. But unfortunately, this is America's racist. So in order to get the New Deal done, what he did was he put in the caveat that if you were a farm worker or a what's the word for it? A domestic. That's it. If you worked in domestics or farm work, you were not qualified for the New Deal. See how that works? Yeah. That's how they kept it so that black people wouldn't get it, because guess what the black jobs were for black people back then in the 40s? The number one jobs were domestics for black women and farm workers for black men. So they made those two categories excluded. Well, that's the same concept they use here. They could not dismiss the three black women. The defense was out of challenges. They used all their challenge tokens. So they couldn't dismiss, they could dismiss the black woman, but they had to come up with a reason that was not racial. So the Batson challenge, which Bronca doesn't think he didn't think I could read, so, he don't think I have an IQ high enough to look up Batson challenge and then read about it. Obviously, his audience doesn't have an IQ high enough to look that up. So my thing is this: the Batson challenge was the way that they were used to challenge these types of racist ploys that either side uses. If the state feels that the defense is using it, they can use they can do a Batson challenge. Then the judge and then whoever's being challenged has to go to the judge and say, "Judge, it's not racist. We're doing this for XYZ reason." And then the judge has to decide to sign off on it. Now, all of this is a lot of explaining that people don't care to know, but I want you to know I've done the research on this. There should have been those black women on that jury. You may have come up with the same verdict. It's possible, right? But see, then I would be saying you should have put those black women on the jury. Because you would have put them on the jury, and we wouldn't have been able to say that. You could have also put cameras, allowed cameras in the courtroom. This is a case that's national, maybe even international, and you don't put cameras in there? Who are you protecting? It's not a rape case where you want to protect the identity of someone. Why not be as transparent as possible? Why not let everyone see it? That's one way to prevent violence later. If everybody's into the process, they see what's going on, nothing's being hidden, everybody can see everything. We don't want to hide anything. We want people to be able to see what's happening. See, this is where reasonableness comes into play. Unless maybe you don't want there to be peace. Maybe you want there to be violence. Maybe you want there to be drama. If that's not the case, why would you do it the way you did it? Why would you allow the dismissal of the only black jurors and then have people saying stupid shit like, but Asians are just as good? Really? Because I just covered a case of serious Carmack Belton where an Asian person shot a 14-year-old in the back because he thought he stole a bottle of water. I just covered that. So maybe that's not the same thing as having someone black on a jury. Oh, and having an Iranian or an Indian. I don't know if you ever met Vivek Ramaswamy, but Vivek Ramaswamy is not black. Just because he's not white looking, he checks white on his census. And so does the rest of so does the Hispanics. Here's the rule. If you're making out a jury and you want people to check black or not white, how about not picking white people for your jury? If you pick people that are different shades or come from different countries, but they check when they come into America, they all check white, they're considered white or Asian. So you got a jury that doesn't have any black people on it, and then you don't want black people to feel disenfranchised, and you want them to feel like it was a fair process. Either you don't give a shit how black people feel, which is kind of weird when you're in a state or a city that you want to be peaceful and you don't want drama. You want to actually have a justice system that the citizens feel good about. You kind of want things to see even-handed. So you put a black person on the stand. You put a black person in the jury. You don't have the jury stacked with non-black people for a case where a black 17-year-old, now 19-year-old, could get 99 years. Here's the thing, folks. I looked up. There was only one case in Texas where that happened to a white guy who was on trial, and that's a white guy that dragged a black guy behind the car until his head popped off his shoulders. That's the last time in Texas a white guy was a defendant in a capital case where there were no white people on the jury. Yeah, they were trying to get rid of that guy. They wanted him to be found guilty. That was like throwing the black people a bone. I mean, he was so blatant with his hate for black people, you just had to let that one go. Couldn't save him. But you understand what I'm saying? You know how rare it is for a white defendant to sit and be judged and not have any white people on the jury? And you'll say, it doesn't matter. Well, if it doesn't happen, why doesn't it happen to white people more often? Why is that? All this stuff I learned by looking up this case. If you haven't looked up the case, if you haven't done any research on it, you can't talk shit because you didn't care to research it. I did the research on it, and I know it's very rare. It's very rare for a white defendant to sit and fight for their life in court and not have at least one white person on the jury. Because other white people will look at it and go, hey, where are the white people? When we say that, we're crying racism. And you know who says that? Black conservatives. And for the record, that one example that they're using, and I want people to know this, that one example that they're using where they say there was one black guy that said, I don't want to lock a brother up. You know, there were white people that said the same thing. Yeah, there were white people that said that. I don't want it to seem like it was only black people that didn't feel comfortable sitting for this case. There were white people that got dismissed for the same shit. But the only person you heard that from, that you heard about it, was that one black guy. Because they want you to believe that black people couldn't be impartial. But there were white people that said they couldn't be impartial. There were white people that said they didn't want to. There were white men that said that. There were white women that said it. It wasn't just that one black guy. They just want the narrative to be, when this is all said and done, that it's black people's fault. And it'll work, and it did work, because America's so racist. Anytime you paint black people as negative, the majority of people buy it. And not all those people are white either. Black people buy it too. That's why my job is so fucking hard, because I got to deal with white people with their stinking thinking, and I got to deal with black people with their stinking thinking. They think they're being forward thinking. We've transcended race. Why do these people keep bringing it up? You don't need black people on the jury. Then why not have some? If it doesn't matter, why not have some? Since you say it doesn't matter. So Karmelo Anthony was found guilty today of murder. I do not believe that Karmelo Anthony is a murderer. I believe that Karmelo Anthony was impulsive, just like Austin Metcalf was impulsive, and he made a huge mistake. That's what I believe. I believe he overreacted. He was under stress, he overreacted, and I believe he wishes he had done something different. That's just what I believe. Having covered murder cases, this did not feel like a typical murder case. This did not feel like someone who intended to hurt or kill anyone. That's what I believe. No one's presented evidence of a manifesto of Karmelo Anthony writing lyrics that he wants to kill Austin Metcalf. There's no Facebook posts. You know, like Chud the Builder has posts that he's gonna kill somebody and all this stuff. There's no post of Karmelo. If there were, you'd already know. And there are people defending Chud too. Chud said he would kill people. For some reason, people say he's not guilty. Anyway. Why am I bringing him up? That's funny, ain't it? Chud the Builder is literally online telling people, I'm gonna kill some black people. I'm gonna shoot me a black person. Then he shoots a black person, and they go, that's just a coincidence. Why are you tripping? Karmelo Anthony made a mistake, and that mistake was Being around white people. Yeah, that's what I feel like. His big mistake was he was around white people. He should have been to a all black tent. Obviously, that was his mistake. Austin's mistake was putting his hands on somebody and thinking everybody is stuck in a time warp in the 1700s. Maybe he's used to getting his way. Maybe he's used to being entitled, privileged, that he can put hands on whoever he wants. Maybe that's what he gets away with. He didn't get away with it that day, and that's bad for him. I wish he would have made different choices. Let me be clear here. I wish Austin Metcalf would have made different choices. This verdict does not bring him back. He keep his hands to himself. Dollars to donuts, we're not sitting here even talking about this case. Because Karmelo Anthony did not have a vendetta to go to the track meet in off Austin. It's just like kind of what happened. That's what I believe. That's what I believe. But the jury spoke, and the jury said, Karmelo, murder. He's a murderer. Not that he made an accident, had an accident, or he made a bad choice. He was reacting to Austin Metcalf. No, that he was a murderer. And I don't see that at all. I predicted that there would be an acquittal because that's what I believe should have happened. That's what I believed. That's what I still believe. I don't feel like anybody proved that Karmelo was not defending himself. I believe he was defending himself. Nobody else was. Nobody else stopped Austin for putting hands on him. I mean, you got all these guys that are teammates of Austin. Nobody got up and stopped Austin. Nobody. What about that part? What about the teachers? And what about all the other teammates who just sat there while Austin was about to lay hands on this guy again? What about that? I guess the jury said that doesn't matter. Really? So here. Karmelo Anthony. He's looking at sentencing. And I'm no punk. I will stand here, I will stand up, and I will say, look, we're going to cover the sentencing. We got to go the full distance. But I do not believe that Karmelo Anthony left his house that day with the intention of stabbing Austin Metcalf. I don't believe that. And I believe that's what you're saying, because you say he intentionally and knowingly did this. And I don't think he intentionally, knowingly did it. That he knew that's what he was going to do. I don't believe that. I just don't. I don't believe a 4.0 student throws his life away over that intentionally. And the fact that people think that, that means that just goes to show you what America thinks of black people. They actually think a 4.0 student intends to throw his life away over some bullshit. And I just don't believe that. Austin Metcalf. Let's go to this comment, fam. Silence on this case if you want to start talking. If you, oh, God. Damn. Silence on the case. Why would, Hey, look, Cobra. Man, I don't understand. Cobra, I don't understand where you're coming from with this. You know? I don't understand it. Why are you telling me to silence on this case if you want to start talking about something? Talk about a black community bank, but silence on these cases make their guilty conscience talk. Huh? Hey, man. Come on, man. People want to talk about this case because it just happened. Why are people telling me not to talk about this case? I mean, you paid to tell me not to talk about the live stream. You see the title of the live stream. Colbert, man, look, I appreciate you supporting this show. Believe me, I do. Most people do not support the show financially. So I appreciate you. They just watch for free. So I appreciate you doing that. You know what I'm saying? I do. But family. You saw the title of the video. You saw the title of the live stream. You heard the verdict was in. I'm not tricking. I'm not baiting and switching you. You know, you came in for me to talk about this, and that's what I'm talking about. Why would you go, like, if you went to see the Michael Jackson movie, you wouldn't go to the Michael Jackson movie. Sit there and go, where's the X-Men? You know what I'm saying? Where's the new scary movie 16? You know what I'm saying? I'm just saying, I'm just trying to understand the rationale. It says Michael. So yeah, I get it. You know what I'm saying? I get what you're saying. And I do live streams 3 times a week. So we can talk about building the black bank and all that stuff. We can talk about that stuff. Not today. Today, it's Karmelo Anthony update on the verdict day. That's what this is. But I appreciate you. Yeah. Family, I'm be honest with y'all, right? I'll be honest. Let me just say, I feel very strongly that what happened today, there's no winners in this, only losers. And I feel that this is not justice. I don't think it's justice. I don't think it helps. And I think, I know a lot of black Americans feel more disenfranchised than ever. And it shouldn't feel that way. I think it should have been more transparent. You should have had someone black on the jury. It does change the outlook of black Americans. Because it just makes us feel more like we were included in the process. And people should feel included in the process. This is supposed to be our country, too. And I guess we're just reminded time and time and time again that it's not. No matter what Byron Donald says, no matter what Wesley Hunt says, okay? No matter what Candace Owens says, this is not our country. Because if this was our country, too, there would have been somebody black in Texas on that jury. That's what I believe. You got to do that. Hey, what is Joe Rogan and the other friends of Texas? What are they saying? Any of them talking about it? Because I've noticed I have not heard a lot of people talk about this. Is it like unpopular opinion to talk about this issue? I'm serious, guys. I have not heard many people talking about it. I mean, if it wasn't for Willie D, if it wasn't for Willie D and O'Shea Duke Jackson, I don't know if anybody else is talking about it. The politics, the urban politicians. Yay. Put your hands on your pivot. You know? If it wasn't for that, it wouldn't have been but just me. It's just me, Phil Advise, Phil Scott. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Vita, DeVray, Devia. Yeah, I'm trying to think of the people, man. Mona. Well, who's talking about it? Who's talking about it? Is it on the Joe Budden podcast? Has Mark Lamont Hill been talking about it? I don't know if the Democrats gave him clearance to talk about it. He probably still talking about Drake album. Yeah. Check this out. This person says lawyer here. That's it. That's all it takes to say you. Just say you're the lawyer, huh? You don't have to. Prove that in any way. I just get to say I'm a lawyer here. Well, I'm a scientist here. I mean, if that's all it takes, I'm a lawyer here. Sure you are. What happened to stand your ground? Yeah, Tyrone, what happened to it? It doesn't apply to us. Nah. Not when the victim is white. It doesn't apply to us. Well, you know what? I won't say in all cases. I will say this. If they would have came back with something else, if they'd have came back by manslaughter, I'd be upset, but I wouldn't be this upset. This right here is some total bullshit. Because I do not believe that Karmelo Anthony intended for this to happen. If he did, you know the first thing Karmelo Anthony said when the cops came up to him, he said, "Is Austin okay?" Now, if you intentionally stab somebody in the heart, that's probably the last thing you ask. I'm just saying. Does that sound like killer questions? I know. We can't be honest, right? Earth Angel. Earth Angel says that was his mistake. His parents too. Being around white people and other groups, too grateful. They're not in my face like that. So grateful they're not in my face like that. Oh. Austin broke his own. There it goes. Damn. Austin broke his own dad's arm. I don't know why that's not admissible in court. Can when it's black person, they always put the black person on trial, even if they're deceased. In this case, they didn't put that on trial. That wasn't in it. That came out in the testimony that Austin was violent like that. Well, I wonder why. I wonder if he would have broke Carmelo's arm. Is it, because it's always like when it's us, it's like anything you've ever done in life that the person had no way of knowing that you did is somehow used against you. Remember that with Jordan Neely and Daniel Penny? Remember that time he punched an old lady? Well, what's that have to do with that day on the subway? He didn't punch anybody. Yeah, but before he did, so, huh? What are y'all talking about? But see, when it comes to Austin, they couldn't bring it in. But with Jordan Neely, they brought all that shit in. And it's just something I noticed because I kind of cover content like this. Right? So when it was Austin, I didn't hear anybody talking about that. Okay, here, check this out. They said his statement, watch and find out what happens, equals intent. See, that's not the way I took it. I took that as a warning, like, hey, don't do this. Fam, I think we got a cultural barrier here. Who's this? Jay. You understand what I'm saying, Jay? Like, if I got that thing on me and you was trying to fight me and I say, look, hey man, you don't want this. That's not intent. That's a warning to save your life. Hey man, I ain't the one though. Hey dog. Hey look, you don't want this. Okay, when I was in junior high, I think I was in high school, maybe in junior high. When I was in junior high working at a fast food restaurant, there was a car in our drive-through, and the person in the car, it was two white guys in the drive-through, and they were yelling at us, right? They were yelling at the person working the drive-through. So I'm inside the store working, and I hear those guys cussing out the guys in the drive-through, right? So so it becomes a cursing match. Like a hothead and a dumbass, I go outside. I walk up to the car, I'm cursing at them, telling them to get out the car. Wrong thing to do. One of the guys said, Get away from my car or I will shoot you. He wasn't telling me that. I felt he wasn't telling me that because he wanted me to mess with him. I took it as he wanted me to leave. And the other guy said to the guy who just threatened me, he said, don't shoot him, man, don't shoot him. Guess what I didn't do? Because I'm alive, right? Guess what I didn't do? I did not continue to talk shit to him. I went back in the store. Then, that's what I did. That's real life. Or my mama, that's what happened. I am here today. I have kids, a wife, and everything. A whole life. And guess what? I did not see that as him with intention. I saw that as him giving my black ass a break because he would shoot a Negro that day. That's how I saw it. I went in the store. He did not follow me. Now, why come that story couldn't have played out the same way with Austin and Karmelo? Why not? Why come that couldn't play out the same way? Why is it that when the black kid says, hey, you need to leave me alone, Johnson. You need to leave. You need to, hey, I got, you know what I'm saying? Why come it can't be seen the same way? Why does that seem like, oh, this is what we want? That's a bias of the jury. The jury doesn't see it as a warning, a help, a way to save yourself, a way to avoid what's sitting here waiting on you. They didn't see it that way, huh? They saw it as taunting, like wanting you. I don't think Karmelo possesses that type of intentions. I don't think a 4.0, 3.7, whatever, I don't think a kid who's ever been in trouble that has a squeaky clean record really wants to go to jail for the rest of his life by shooting you or stabbing you. I just don't think so. And the fact that they see us all the same, no matter what we do, no matter what our background is, that's very clear. I still remember that altercation I had in that drive-thru in Riverdale, Maryland, so many years ago. I didn't even call the cops. It's just something that happened. And I learned a lesson. Don't walk up on people no matter how upset you are with them, no matter what they yell at you. They call you N-word. They say whatever they say. Don't walk up on their car, sir. This is your conscience talking. Look, I am your guardian angel talking, right? This is God himself sending a vision to you. Walk away. And that's what I did. But see, I'm humble that way. I know bullets don't bounce off me. Okay? Maybe I'm not entitled, right? So what I'm saying is, I understand, I appreciate your comment, fam. Someone says, Tim, this is very hurtful. Katrina, my friend, Katrina's in the house. Thank you, Katrina. Katrina says this is very hurtful. It is. It's very hurtful. It really is. I do not believe that Karmelo Anthony is a killer. He killed someone, but I don't think he's a murderer. Someone lost their life, and that is unfortunate. But I do not believe that's why. I do not believe that that was the intention. And when I read the statute, intention, the way I read intention, I did not see that was met. They said it was intention because he warned him. So if he doesn't warn him and he just stabs him, get it? Katrina, keep your head up, sister. Look, this is the way I see this. After the verdict that's gone against Karmelo Anthony, the guilty verdict, the murder verdict, we're no more or less respected, appreciated, or discriminated against than we were before it. This is just reality talking. This is just a heat check. This is just a reminder of where we really are, which means we have to move and act accordingly. This is our guardian angel. This is our opportunity to take further analysis of where we are. I know there are going to be people that say they already knew this stuff, but what I'm saying is every situation is a reminder of where we are as a country. We ain't got nowhere. If black kids can't defend themselves from white kids, even when the kid is more aggressive and bigger, and you don't even stand up, really? Like, if the guy never leans down, guess what doesn't happen? He doesn't get stabbed in the chest, does he? He had to be leaning down for that to even happen. He had to make an aggressive move to even be at that height. Karmelo was seated. But see, no one cares. No one cares. Well, people care. Let me not say no one cares. Back to Katrina. Katrina, what I'm saying is, we're no more disenfranchised or no less disenfranchised. This is where it was. And it's a good reminder for you to remember that as you operate, and as your kids operate, as your friends operate, your family members operate. It's important to remember this is your country. It's not the country you want it to be. It's not the one you dream it to be. And none of that shit. It is what it is. Black Americans cannot afford to operate in La La Land. We cannot afford to operate in a world that doesn't exist. We have to move and operate within the world in which we have. That's what I believe. My problem with the conservatives is they want us to believe that this is our doing. They want to put it on us to say, hey, it's our fault. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to say both of these young people acted inappropriately. Young people tend to do that. Teenagers tend to act impulsively. Why is it so difficult to say, hey, Austin maybe should have kept his goddamn hands to himself? If he was black, you'd say that all day. If he was black, you'd be saying it all day, 7 days a week and twice on Sunday. But since he's white, all you're looking over is over to Karmelo and saying, what you doing with that knife? Guess what? You don't know he has a knife, and he never pulls the knife out if Austin keeps his goddamn hands to himself. But then you can't get donations from all the conservatives in your comment section, can you? I guess you can't. You might, you won't get the endorsements. They're not going to give you the hiccup now. The hiccup. They're not going to give you the hookup if you say the real truth. Because they don't want the truth. They want lies. Karmelo Anthony was found guilty today of murder. The jury handed this decision down in less than 2 minutes flat. I'm trying to find new comments, fam. I got a lot of people talking. Here goes one. Andrew says, $600,000 was raised. Was it well spent to defend? I don't know. I don't know. You know what would have been better? You know what would have been better, friend? Thanks for the support. It would have been better if we would have been able to see in the courtroom. I think all of us can agree that nobody's feelings or privacy was protected by not having this televised. I think televising this could have only helped. How could anybody have been hurt by televising this? You still don't have to show any imagery that you don't want people to see. You don't have to put the cameras on the imagery that you want to maintain privacy. But I don't think anything was gained by the public by not being able to witness the trial unfold. I think it would have been helpful. I think it would have been helpful for the people to see it so people could have been more primed and conditioned for the verdict that came out. I mean, if all of us were able to see the witnesses, able to see the interactions, then that would have helped people understand. People should not be that shocked when the jury comes back in 2 hours. Get what I'm saying? The callousness of this judge is horrific. That's it. I can't even tell you if I think the defense can put on a good defense because I can't even see what they were defending or the steps they took. I couldn't even watch the trial if I wanted to. And that's the judge's doing. That's not the prosecutor's doing. That's not, the defense. That's the judge. Wow. Someone says, remember the Kyle Rittenhouse case? The judge of the Kyle Rittenhouse case was treating him like he was his nephew in the courtroom. He wanted to run for re-election. Austin was suspended. Free Karmelo. Damn. Here we go. Rain and tears in the building. That's not how high school works. There are no reserved seats in high school bleachers. Hey, thank you, Rain and Tears. That's one of my moderators. I got Rain and Tears and I got Tim in the building. Thank you, Tim. Someone said that money was wasted. You don't think that guy put up a good defense at all. Inspirational Truth says, hey, man, I'm inspiration. Yo, man. Yo, inspiration. Hey, man. I hope you don't mind me nudging you a little bit. Hey, inspiration, I hope you don't mind me nudging you a little bit, but I appreciate you. You say good commentary. Hey, I just want to be clear, fam. I don't think it was murder. I've covered murders. This doesn't appear to be a murder to me. I stand by it. I'm sorry that this was the verdict. I wasn't blowing smoke, man. I truly do not believe that Karmelo Anthony murdered Austin Metcalf. I think he killed him. And I'm sorry that he did that. I'm sorry it went down that way because I don't think it was necessary for either one of these children. I just don't think that's the case. Right? Now, as hindsight, do we think Karmelo should have took the stand? How many people feel that Karmelo should have took the stand? I think at this point, now that we know what we know, it couldn't have hurt. Right? Is that Willie? Willie Mays up in this joint. Willie says, straight sabotage. I believe that. Should Karmelo have taken a stand? Do you think do you believe the defense did an injustice by not convincing Karmelo to take the stand? Not allowing him to take the stand. How many people think he should have took the stand? How many people say he should have took the stand? I believe he should have took the stand. But see, then again, I think the testimony by the witnesses, which had changed night and day. We have testimony from this witnesses that are like night and day. The testimony that was given by those witnesses to the police right after the incident occurred is vastly different than the testimony that they gave on the stand. And I think it was so different that it should have been dismissed. That's what I believe. That was part of the reason why I came up to my prediction. Because the Texas law says if the witness's testimony does not match, you throw it out, and that's grounds for acquittal. We got people that say they didn't know Karmelo when they knew him. There's pictures of him online, pictures of him hanging out, but they got on the witness stand and say they didn't know him at all. These are lies. These are perjuries. Why was that testimony not stricken? Why was their testimony allowed to go into the record? I think there's grounds for an appeal. There is grounds for an appeal. Karmelo was jumped and was not allowed to defend himself. Austin came from a broken home. His dad failed him. And that's what DeVoy is saying about Carmelo Anthony. And that's why I had to make a video about DeVoy Dawkins, because to me, it didn't take much digging to find out negative things about Austin's dad and about his family structure. And DeVoy makes a long video about Carmelo's family. I don't know, man. I thought Shermichael Singleton was a better judge of character than to pick a guy that would make that type of a statement. I mean, you could be a Republican, you could be a conservative, but you don't have to be a scumbag. You don't have to be a liar. You don't have to be a tap dancer for white folks like that. You don't have to do that. You could be a conservative. You could be a Republican. That's your right. Just like Democrats could be Democrats and liberals. I don't rock with that either. But you don't have to make up shit and tell people that the sun isn't yellow or that water isn't wet just to fit in. And what we have here is the opposite. It's opposite day. And we got these commentators that would not report the truth, and that is that it is Austin's family background that's troubling. It is the Austins, the Metcalf's family background that was troubling, not the Anthony family. But they would not say that. They would not be vocal about it. Instead, they were grandstanding and proselytizing about black family structures. Enigma says Austin Metcalf is a thug from a broken family, is rotting in hell right now. Well, I wouldn't say that. I don't know. He's not anything at the moment. Cook Tim, damn it. Yo, who said that, man? Is that Brewster? Mr. Brewster, what's up, fam? Look, all right, let's cook for a bit. Let's cook. Let me get some more tea in me, man. This one's for Brewster. Brewster. All right. What we saw today was a travesty. I believe it was a tragedy, a travesty, and a slap in the face. I do not believe that Carmelo Anthony is a murderer, nor did he murder Austin Metcalf. Murder should be a higher bar than defending yourself against a much stronger, bigger person who won't leave you the hell alone. You coming up with all this shit about, well, he should have not been in the 10 or he should have not sat there. This is not the 30s, okay? It's not the 30s. There's no hard rules about where people have to sit at events. Austin Metcalf doesn't get stabbed if Austin Metcalf doesn't get stabbed if Austin Metcalf keeps his hands to himself. That's what I believe. Now, if Austin Metcalf would have been walking away and got stabbed in the back, I'd be with you. If Austin Metcalf was cowering in the corner and Karmelo Anthony is wielding a knife at him, I'm with you. If Austin Metcalf is just minding his goddamn business and Karmelo Anthony pokes him, I'm with you. But if Austin Metcalf is towering over my son, your son, my daughter, your daughter, or anybody in a aggressive posture, and that person has anything, whether it be a knife, a screwdriver, a ballpoint pen, a dart, a throwing star, a piece of a gardening tool, a shovel, an awl, whatever, and they sticking with it, well, where I come from, that's what you get when you do shit like that. That's called bad luck and bad timing. But that is not called murder, because that would not have happened if Austin would have kept his hands to himself. So I predicted that there would be an acquittal. Of course, I was wrong. America's probably much more racist than I give it credit for. Yeah. America's much more racist than I gave it credit for. And the jury is much more slanted than I gave it credit for. And the fact that we did not have a black juror, I don't know if that was the deciding factor, but I can tell you this, and I know it doesn't matter to a lot of people, but to a lot of black people, it does matter that there were no black people on that jury. It matters that we were not able to see the ongoing situation. We were not able to witness this trial. We weren't able to watch it. We had invested time and our feelings into what was happening to this young man. Some of us also have young men in our families whom we love. Unlike you, maybe, if you're non-black, well, we see one black kid going to jail for 90 years. 30 years, whatever crazy number it is, we see our child doing the same. And I'm only guessing that when you saw Austin Metcalf lose his life, you saw your child. Why don't you see your child sitting down and keeping his hands to himself? Why is it okay for your child to be the aggressor? Like I stated, I don't think there's any winners here. Definitely a couple of losers. But I don't think justice was served today. I just do not. And I'm tired of the narrative of the media painting this story as if all the black people that could have been on the jury weren't qualified to be on the jury, didn't know how to judge a jury. This is all bullshit. They're taking the statement of one black person out of 100 black people and putting that on all the black people that the prosecution dismissed. And I can't find a single fucking Fox News person to tell the truth. And I got a bunch of conservative ass kissers, black and white, that won't tell the truth. And I just wish my platform was a little bigger, or maybe a lot bigger, so I can continue to tell the truth. Because somebody should be able to tell the truth. I might not be able to change the outcome, but getting the truth out there is important. It's important that people know that they dismissed the last black woman that could have been on that court. And those black women were college-educated black women who were teachers, and it's okay for them to teach our children, but it's not okay for them to sit on the jury. Meanwhile, you got other teachers on that jury who were white. And so when I see something like that happen, and I do not hear certain people push back on it, it just reminds me, America's a lot more racist than you give it credit for. I mean, it just is. At some point you say, at some point saying people are incompetent, at some point saying that people just don't know no better and they're just underdeveloped or unknowing, at some point you got to throw that shit out and say it is what it is. Some people are just fucking evil. Some people are just hateful. Some people are just racist and hateful and biased and horrible human beings. And some people just hate black people. Now, I don't know if that goes for every juror. I don't know if it goes for every juror. But I do know in this case, this particular case, unlike the Cyrus Cormac Belton case, where the 14-year-old was shot in the back after being chased further than a football field over a bottle of water he didn't take. Unlike that case, in this case, the jurors had an option. They had an option. They could have chose manslaughter. They didn't. They believe that a young man, that a teenager telling another teenager, don't do it or you're going to find out or whatever, they consider that a taunt, not a warning. They use that to railroad him and say that meant you intend to kill him. Just to tell him, hey man, you might get hurt if you do this. You're going to get hurt if you do this. And then him doing it and not saying, what an idiot, why'd he do it? Instead, it's, what a killer, why'd you do it? And to me, that doesn't make sense. So Webster, I don't know if that meets your criteria for cooking. And I don't know if I got that in me to cook like that. You know what I'm saying? I hope I do. But there's a part of me that's disappointed that I predicted that this would be an acquittal. Maybe I'm disappointed in myself thinking that, hey, that witnesses have to keep their story somewhat the same or the witnesses will be thrown out. And that self-defense is what you are automatically given. And then the prosecution has to prove that you don't have it. I don't feel like they proved he wasn't defending himself. Someone's lunging at you kind of proves you're defending yourself. It'd be different if they weren't lunging at you. Maybe then we could say you're not defending yourself. These things just don't add up for me. So just because he was convicted today, just because Karmelo was convicted today does not mean he's guilty. It just means that's what they found him. That's the label they put on him. And I don't believe it's true. I believe, if anything, the jury is guilty of being a cooked jury. I believe the judge is guilty of being a corrupt asshole. And I believe those people that think that so little of this damn near 4.0 straight A student, that he would throw it all away for Austin Metcalf. I just don't think maybe I give more credit than the average person. But having sons, I just don't see it. You know? I just don't see that as plausible, as reasonable for an athlete with a promising future. You know what Karmelo was doing the last couple years? Taking college courses. I wonder what Hunter's been doing. We all know what Austin's been doing. Yeah, when I was a kid, I was in a similar situation where someone told me that if I approached their car any closer, did anything else, that they would shoot me. And I didn't go call the cops, and I did not consider that a taunt. I considered that the closest thing to a warning shot without actually shooting at me. And I took it for what it was and got my ass inside. That's what I did. And maybe that's why I'm here today, to do this live stream. I don't see that as a taunt or encouraging violence or an intention to kill me. I saw that as the opposite of intending to kill me. That's what you call a warning. But I guess if you're Asian or Indian or white, maybe you don't see it that way. And that's why we needed black people on that jury. Because we understand each other a little bit better. We understand our vernacular. We understand time and place and slang and nonverbal cues and all the other stuff that makes us culturally different. Yeah, there's a saying that I think it was it Bernie Mac or was it Cedric the Entertainer? Cedric the Entertainer had a saying in one of his comedy shows. Maybe it was The Kings of Comedy. People might remember this if you're old as hell like me. And I just remember Cedric saying, I wish a nigga would. I remember that statement. That is not a taunt. That is telling you some shit is gonna go down if you do that. It doesn't mean do it. It means don't do it. Dumb. It means don't do it. It doesn't mean do it. Let me try out my new gun. I like to throw my life away. It means don't do it. Don't start none, won't be none. Does that mean start some? It means if you don't do this, this don't happen. And the fact that you could live all this time with black people, that you could have black people in this country before a lot of you white people were here, it was black people here. The fact that we could grow up with each other, go to war with each other, that black Americans have fought in every war that America's ever fought in, that we got a long history with each other, and you not understand basic shit about black people, like how we talk, goes a long way to saying we got a lot of problems in this country. That's like common. It's like a common phrase. It's like a common reference. For you not to get that and have that so twisted in your head to make it seem like the person that says that wants the smoke. People that want to kill you don't tell you. They just kill you. People that want to shoot you don't go, I'm just going to shoot you if you do that. You just do that and they shoot you. What are we not understanding? You tell a child, get down. You want them to get down. You don't want to pop them. You're saying, hey, get down, because you want them to get down. Isn't this universal? You know what? I think white people know exactly what was happening. They know exactly what was said. They're just gaslighting us and they're acting like they don't know. I think I fell for the bullshit. They knew exactly what he meant. They just knew they could railroad him by using it. That's why they didn't have any fucking cameras in the courtroom. That's why the black people weren't on the jury. Because they already knew. All right, family. That's all I got. I think that's enough. My name is Tim Black. I live stream typically Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays, 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Subscribe to this channel if you've never been here before. Subscribe to the channel. Become a subscriber and cut on all your notifications. On this show, we don't fight for parties. I don't give a damn what your political party is. We're going to speak truth to power on this show. We're going to tell the truth, and we ain't going to be worried about being politically correct or sparing anybody's feelings. Karmelo Anthony did the wrong thing, but he's not a murderer. He was just a child who did the wrong thing. And Austin Metcalf, he did the wrong thing too. Go to TimBlackTV.com, become a member of the show. Go to Patreon.com, Tim's Take Live. I see you soon. Until we do, remember, you got to stay courageous. You got to stay bold, and you got to stay dangerous. When I say danger, I don't mean shooting people. I mean standing up to these parties. Not playing it safe with your honesty and your truth. Not going along with the system. And thinking for your damn self. Because when the system is corrupt and rigged as our system, to be an independent thinker is to be dangerous. You're dangerous to the system. Get it? Even that, it seems like people can't understand. I don't know what you mean, Tim. What do you mean be dangerous? What are you suggesting? And the fact that I got to explain that shows how separated and how different Black America and white America is. When I say be cool, I do not mean take off your clothes and run through the fan, dumbass. My kids are home. I'll see you soon. I got nothing but love for you. Thank you for being here. Thank you to my moderators. Thank you, Rain of Tears. Thank you, Tim. And to anybody else that was here, thank you as well. I'll see you soon. Wolf Pack. Damn. My baby said it's over. Now